Literally? Actually? Literally is a word that many learners struggle with because it has two meanings that are very different. And actually is a word that many learners think they understand but are actually using incorrectly. So let's learn how to use them. Actually is tricky because the dictionary definition is very similar to really or truly, so you might think that we use it to make something stronger. However, that is not how we use it. We mostly use actually to show contrast between what someone says or thinks is true and what is really true. For example, many people think that I still live in Thailand, but I actually live in the United States. And because actually shows contrast, we also often use it when something is surprising or unexpected. For example, maybe you're trying a new food for the first time and you think that you're not going to like it. But when you try it, you do like it. You might say, "Wow, it's actually really good." We also often use actually to correct people when they make mistakes. Sometimes people comment, "Hey, Teacher Mike, you're my favorite English teacher from the UK. I love your British accent." And I usually reply something like, "Thank you very much, but I'm actually from the United States." In that example, the word actually not only shows them that they're wrong about something, but also makes the correction feel a bit softer. Or maybe I know a lot about Myanmar because I have friends from Myanmar. If someone asks me, "Hey, Teacher Mike, what's your favorite place in Myanmar?" I could reply, "I've actually never been there." In that example, actually helps to show that I understand why they might think that I have been there, but the truth is that I have not been there. We also use actually when changing our mind or correcting something that we said earlier. For example, maybe a friend asks you, "Have you ever seen this movie before?" And you reply, "No, I haven't." But then when you start watching the movie, you realize that you have seen it before. In that case, you might say, "You know what? Actually, I have seen this before." So, yeah, actually just shows contrast. It doesn't directly make anything stronger. Now, let's look at literally. And to help you understand this word, I first want to make sure that you understand the word exaggerate. To exaggerate basically means to make something seem more extreme than it really is. This could be a lot bigger, a lot smaller, a lot better, a lot worse, a lot more frequent, or a lot more anything. For example, you might say, "I have a million things to do today." Do you actually have 1 million things that you need to do? No, you don't. You're just trying to make it clear that you are really busy. Or maybe there was a really long line to get into a concert. You might say, "The line was a mile long." Was it actually a mile long? Probably not. You're just saying that to make it clear that it was really long. In both of those examples, you are exaggerating. We use the word literally to say that we are not exaggerating, and instead are describing something the way that it really is. And we often use it when saying something that seems like it might not be true. It's like telling the other person, "I know it might sound like I'm exaggerating, but this is actually true." Maybe you tell someone that you walked 20 miles yesterday. They might say, "No way, it was probably just like 5 or 10. You could reply, "No, I looked at the map. It was literally 20 miles. Or maybe someone made you a cake, and you tell them, "This is the most delicious cake I've ever eaten." They might reply, "Really? Thank you so much." To make it clear that you're not exaggerating, you might say, "Yeah, this is literally the best cake I've ever eaten." What makes this word confusing is that in informal conversation, we often use it to exaggerate, especially when we want to add emotion. So when someone says literally, how do you know which one they're using? Are they using it to exaggerate, or are they using it to say that they're not exaggerating? Well, listen to these examples. I've literally been to that restaurant a million times. He lies about literally everything. She literally never stops talking. In those examples, it's pretty clear that the speaker is exaggerating. But if it's ever not clear, you can just say, wait, literally? So, yeah, that's how we use actually and literally. If you'd like to practice using them, feel free to write some sentences in the comments.